Welcome back. Today we are going to look at the top 10 mistakes people make when they are preparing their resumes. What are they? What is happening when they are preparing their resumes? And what needs to be done to avoid these mistakes? What is the right thing to do? And at the end of this, I'm going to also give you a checklist, a complete checklist, so that you can use the checklist when you are preparing your resume. Yes, let's jump in. Here are these top 10 mistakes that people make. The complete list is here. What I'm going to do is to take one at a time and I'm going to walk you through that. Let's start with mistake number one, generic objective statement. This is the first mistake people make. They put something like, I want to adhere to excellent company standards and I want to bring my A game to the team. It's such a lame statement to make. Such a lame objective statement to make in your resume. People want very precise understanding of what is it that you can bring to my table. That's what companies are looking at. And when you say very generic statements, and let me give an example of what I mean by that. Overused vague objectives are there in the resume, and it could be like something like this: seeking a challenging role in a reputable company where I can grow and contribute, or something thereabouts. What it means is that the company doesn't see you fitting in them. However, when you tailor it to company needs and you say something like leverage data analytics to improve marketing campaigns because you know that you are applying for a data analytics job and you know that marketing campaigns are very important for that company. And when you do both of this, life becomes much better because they see a clear fit in what they are looking at and what you are bringing to the table. And hence, your objective statement becomes lot more tailored, lot more clearer, lot more acceptable in terms of what they are looking at. And hence you pass the very first test of what you are bringing to the table, which matches the company's requirements. The second mistake people make is very poor formatting. Put yourself in the shoes of the recruiter. He's looking at the resume, and if it is poorly formatted, it sends very poor signals to him. He is very clearly making an image of this guy is not a professional. He doesn't even know how to format. If the person who's sending the resume is not even knowing how to format, how do I entrust my job with him? Those are very fair assumptions that people end up making. May or may not be right, but that is a kind of mental image that you end up creating in the mind of the recruiter. So poor formatting, things like messy, hard to read structure, lots of text which is not formatted clearly into paragraphs or sentences or bullet points. And hence, what you should do, use bullet points, clear headings, professional fonts being used. Resume is like a first date, and you need to present yourself very well. If you are not going to present yourself very well, you have a problem. If you don't create that very first impression properly, you are not going to be considered any further, even if you are the best candidate for the job. So go ahead, ensure that it is very clearly well formatted. There are hundreds and thousands of lovely formats available in places like Canva or any resume site has all of these resumes freely available. You can take a look at any of them. You can download them. You can format your resume basis that. Go ahead, structure that. Don't ever make this mistake. The mistake number three is having spelling mistakes in your resume, which is absolutely unacceptable. Spelling mistake, grammatical mistakes have no place in a resume anymore since there are tons of tools available, free tools available to check any one of them. In spite of these tools, free tools available, and if you still have these mistakes in your resume, it just shows that if I'm the recruiter, I will assume that you are one lazy bugger and you're not interested in my job anymore. That's the conclusion people come to. It shows very poor professionalism from your part if these problems are there, even after the advent of all of those free tools. So, what you should do, because it indicates poor attention to details, look at your resume, sweep your resume once, twice before you finalize that. Look for grammatical mistakes, look for any typos, look at it, proofread it manually, get a second opinion after running through things like Grammarly, things like spell checker, which are freely available. Don't rely solely on spell check. Sometimes the spell check may have American English, British English, all kinds of challenges. So don't rely only on them and hence run it through manually. You run it through because you are too close to the resume. Maybe you get another opinion from your friend or somebody else to go through your resume. so that you have that second opinion. But whatever you do, ensure that it is free of errors. The next mistake people make is listing completely irrelevant skills. The resume is not tailored to the job that they are applying to, and more on top of that, they are going ahead and listing all kinds of relevant skills. What is a typical mistake? Unrelated hobbies, unrelated skills, completely useless skills from the perspective of the employer. For example, if you're applying for a data analytics job and you say that I'm expert at making sandwiches, I mean, come on here, how does it how is it relevant? That's a question people end up asking. And hence, it is very important, very critical to include only job relevant skills. You need to know what these job relevant skills are. You need to know what is unnecessary, completely useless skill in the context of the job that you're applying. You may be enjoying the skill, but that is not the matter. The skill that you're bringing to the table is a skill that is employable, useful, relevant for that employer, for that job description. Hence, what you should do, align your skills with the job description. That is very, very important to do. The next mistake is a simple mistake that many people seem to be making. I am seeing that happening. Outdated formats being used. Today, as every single day brings more and more modern formats, more and more modern technology, it is important to use these modern formats, which also shows that you are in with the current trends. It sends subtle signals. More than that, the more modern formats, when the recruiters are getting used to seeing the more modern formats and you are not there, it sends a signal that this guy doesn't even know these modern formats. The third point, the modern formats also have fantastic features which you can use. And when you're not using these and you are using 90s style formats, you may be using Comic Sans, you may be using unstructured layouts, and you may be using just text broken through as bullet points. It shows very, very poor professionalism, very, very poor in with the trend kind of a situation. So use modern templates, use sleek templates. There are tons of them available. If you want, go to Canva freely. You can use some of the most modern templates available in Canva or any of the resume sites. Use professional free templates which are available on the websites for free. It is important. Go ahead, do that. Otherwise, you will be seen as outdated just because your resume is outdated one. The next mistake people make is being too vague and not being specific at all, especially when they come to their achievements. What is it that they have done, which is the most important part of the resume? They become suddenly very, very vague. Let me give an example. For example, they may say that they may start using buzzwords like hardworking person, team player. That is not what I want to know if I'm the recruiter. I want to know what is it that you have done and how do I get that flavor? I can get that flavor only when you use statements like I led a 5% team. Then I get to know what kind of a team size you have handled and what it implicates. What are the implications for me? And I increase sales by 15%, then I can know, oh, this person has done this. Then I can train this person even more to deliver 20% for me. So when you use quantifiable numbers in your resume is when your achievements leap out of the resume, make sense to the recruiter. And many times people don't use that. People become very, very vague. So provide very specific, very measurable achievements and use numbers, quantify what you have done so that whatever you have done is clearer to the recruiter. The next problem that I typically see in resumes is unprofessional email address. You share your email address. A lot of people, that includes me, have registered, prepared our email addresses a long time back, and we would have done very funny things so that we can remember our email addresses. However, these funny things might end up sending a very wrong message to the person who is going to read and see that email address. For example, if your email address is partyking69 at gmail.com, is a very clear deal breaker. So use simple professional formats. Use first name dot last name at gmail.com. You can use combinations of first name, last name. You can use combinations of your date of birth within the first name, last name construct, which sends, okay, some sensible logic has gone into preparing this mail. Nothing wrong in the mails like partyking69 at gmail.com, but it sends the wrong signals of not being professional. So you need to send signals at every single step of your resume preparation process. Ensure that you send the right signal. The next big mistake people do is not using the keywords which the recruiter is expecting. If you see the JD and if you have carefully looked at the JD that for which you are applying the job, the JD would have very, very clear, specific keywords that they are looking for. If you're applying for an analytics job, then they may be talking about Power BI, they may be talking about Excel, they may be talking about specific data analytics instruments and capabilities in those instruments and tools and capabilities or courses that you have done and experience related to those tools. And for whatever reason, if your resume is not having those specific words, those specific skill related words, then you are not going to be considered. For example, if your resume is not having those words, then it may not even be selected by the applicant tracking system, the ATS. Hence, it is very, very important to one, know what those keywords are, to use those keywords in your resume so that your resume comes on top of the pile of the ATS. Hence, mirror the wording from the job listings, from the job descriptions. Note down what are the keywords that the job description is talking about. Ensure that all of those keywords are used in your resume. It's very, very important. A lot of times people simply miss out on this and hence pay the price. They don't know why the recruiter is not coming back, not getting back, why their resume is going completely unanswered. The one of the most simplest answers, simplest reasons is this, that the keyword density in their resume is not good. Don't make this mistake. Go ahead, correct this mistake. The other key mistake that I keep seeing in resumes is not tailoring the resume. What I mean by that? The one size fit all kind of approach. People prepare one resume, tuck, 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 tuck. The same thing is sent to every single company that they ever think of, irrespective of whether that particular resume, those particular skills which are mentioned in the resume fit the requirements of the company that they are applying to. It They think that by doing this, they can apply it to a lot more companies. But what they're actually doing is by using the same resume with the same set of skills, same set of experience, same set of quantification approaches which are used in that resume, and using that resume for every single application, they're actually reducing the chance of any one of those employers coming back to them. So don't ever do this. Customize resume for each job. Highlight, for example, leadership for PM roles, data skills for analytics roles. Look at the job description, the job listing. What is it that they have looked at? What are the keywords that they have used? And what is it that the company is requiring out of you? Share that, highlight that, put more keywords on that. Remember, you are selling your skills and the company is buying your skills. And if when the company is buying your skills, they want a key set of skills. And if those key set of skills are not there in your resume, you are not selling it properly. That is one of the most important reasons why a lot of people get rejected simply because the company says absolutely unmatchable resume versus their requirement. Their requirement is data analytics. This person is talking about project management skills. Their requirement is project management. This guy is talking about Power BI and Excel skills. So a lot of lack of match between the requirement and the resume is happening. Don't ever make this mistake. Ensure that your resume is completely matched to the T to the requirements of the company so that you stand a great chance of getting selected. The last mistake that I see is a hilarious mistake if only the person is not in the middle of a lot. Sometimes I see that the contact details are not shared when the resume comes to my table. I see that there's no contact mail, there's no contact number, there's no mail ID, there's only a from and to address. And in this day and age, people are not having any patience to send by correspondence, send by snail mail. So ensure that you just share your mail ID, you should share your contact number so that in case you are selected, in case you are getting through for that first or second round of interview, then you can be intimated appropriately and you can start your planning in terms of getting there to whichever the location the interview is happening. It could be written interview, it could be oral interview, but you should get to know that company has selected to start with and you should prepare. Sometimes those details are missed out. Sometimes great opportunity of having selected gets missed out. So don't ever make this silly mistake. Ensure that your contact details are always shared in the resume to start with. That should be the first line which is there so that you're done and out with that. So go ahead, make these changes in your resume and all the very best for your selection.